Listen to me right now. Your life changes the moment you make a real decision, not a wish, not a hope, not a maybe someday, or I'd like to, or I'm going to try. A decision, a true, committed, no matter what decision that cuts off any possibility of turning back. See, most people think they're making decisions, but they're really just stating preferences. They say things like, I'd like to lose weight, or I hope to start a business, or maybe I'll go back to school. That is not a decision. That is a wish with no power behind it. A real decision means you've committed to a result and you are willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen. Think about the word itself. Decision comes from the Latin root, meaning to cut off. When you make a true decision, you cut off any other possibility, you eliminate the escape routes, you stop negotiating with yourself about whether you are going to follow through, you just decide, and then you figure out how to make it happen. Every major change in your life came from one of these moments. The moment you decided to pursue that relationship, the moment you decided to leave that job, the moment you decided enough was enough and you were going to change. That decision created momentum. That decision put everything in motion. But it started with that commitment, that line in the sand, that moment where you said, this is who I am now, this is what I am doing, period. The challenge is that most people are waiting for certainty before they decide. They want to know it is going to work out. They want a guarantee, but that is not how life works. You make the decision first, and then you make it right. You commit, and then you find a way. The resources don't show up until after you've committed. The path doesn't become clear until you start walking it. Now, let me tell you something else that is absolutely critical. The reason you are stuck, the reason you feel lost, the reason you are not where you want to be, it has nothing to do with your circumstances. It has everything to do with the story you've been telling yourself about those circumstances. Every single day, you are running a narrative in your head. You are interpreting everything that happens to you. And that interpretation, that story, is creating your emotional experience of life. Two people can go through the exact same event and have completely different experiences based on the meaning they assign to it. One person loses their job and says, this is the worst thing that ever happened to me. I am a failure. Nothing ever works out for me. Another person loses their job and says, this is the universe pushing me towards something better. This is my chance to finally pursue what I really want. Same event. Completely different story, completely different emotion, completely different result. Your brain is meaning-making machine. It is constantly looking for patterns and creating stories to explain what is happening. But here's what most people don't realize. You get to choose the story. You are not a victim of your thoughts. You are the author. You can rewrite the narrative at any moment. The story you tell yourself about who you are, what you are capable of, what is possible for you. That story is either empowering you or it is destroying you. It is either opening doors or closing them. It is either giving you energy or draining you. And the scary part is that most people are running disempowering stories without even realizing it. Here is what most people don't understand about success, about achievement, about getting unstuck. It all comes down to your state, your emotional state, your physical state, your mental state. And here is the beautiful thing. You can change your state in an instant. You don't have to wait. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect circumstances. You can shift it right now. See, most people are waiting to feel motivated before they take action. They're sitting around saying, I'll do it when I feel like it, or I am just not in the mood right now, or I'll wait until I have more energy. That is completely backwards. That is why they stay stuck. Motion creates emotion, not the other way around. You don't wait for motivation. You create it by moving your body, by taking action, by changing your physiology. Think about it. Have you ever noticed that when you are feeling depressed or anxious or overwhelmed, what is your body doing? Your shoulders are slumped. Your breathing is shallow. Your head is down. Your movements are slow and lethargic. Now, is it possible to feel that way while you are jumping up and down, breathing deeply, throwing your shoulders back, and moving with energy? No, it is physiologically impossible. Your body and your emotions are completely linked. This is not some theory. This is how human beings work. When you change your physiology, when you change how you are using your body, you instantly change how you feel. And when you change how you feel, you change what you do. And when you change what you do, you change what you do, you change your results. It is that direct, that immediate, that powerful. So many people are trying to think their way out of problems. They're in their heads analyzing, overthinking, trying to figure it all out before they move. But you can't think your way into a new way of acting. You have to act your way into a new way of thinking. You get up, you move, you create momentum. And suddenly the thoughts change, the feelings change, the whole experience shifts. Now let me tell you about the three forces that shape your state at any moment. First is your physiology, how you are using your body. Second is your focus, what you are paying attention to. And third is your language. The words you are using to describe your experience master these three. And you master your emotional state, master your state. And you master your life. Your physiology, we've already talked about. Move your body and you change everything. But your focus is just as powerful, because whatever you focus on, you feel. If you focus on what is wrong, you'll feel terrible. If you focus on what you are grateful for, you'll feel abundant. If you focus on problems, you'll feel stressed. If you focus on solutions, you'll feel empowered. Your focus is like a spotlight, wherever you point it. That is what becomes real for you. And here is the thing that most people miss. You are always focusing on something. Your brain can't not focus. So the question isn't whether you are going to focus. The question is, what are you going to focus on? Are you going to direct it consciously, or are you going to let it bounce around randomly, landing on every worry, every fear, every negative possibility? Then there is your language. The words you use to describe your experience literally shape that experience. If something goes wrong and you say, this is a disaster, this is the worst thing ever, I am devastated, you are going to feel devastated. But if you use different words, if you say this is inconvenient, or this is a challenge, or this is interesting, you create a completely different emotional experience. Same event, different language, different feeling. Let me tell you something that will transform your life if you really get it. There is a fundamental law that governs human experience. Whatever you focus on, you feel, and whatever you consistently focus on becomes your reality. Your focus is everything. It is the difference between people who thrive and people who barely survive, even when they're in the exact same circumstance. See, your brain has a filtering system. There is so much information coming at you every second, millions of bits of data, that your brain has to filter most of it out. And what does it filter for? Whatever you tell it is important. Whatever you focus on. If you are focused on what is missing in your life, your brain will find evidence of lack everywhere you look. If you are focused on opportunity, your brain will show you opportunities you never noticed before. This isn't positive thinking. This is directed focus. This is understanding that you are asking yourself questions all day long. And those questions determine your focus. Are you asking, why does this always happen to me? Or are you asking, what can I learn from this? Are you asking, why is life so hard? Or are you asking, how can I use this challenge to grow stronger? The quality of your questions determines the quality of your life, because questions direct your focus. Most people spend their lives focused on things they can't control. They focus on the economy, on what other people think, on circumstances that happened in the past. And when you focus on what you can't control, you feel helpless. You feel like a victim. But the moment you shift your focus to what you can control, your attitude, your effort, your responses, your actions, you step back into power. You become the creator instead of the reactor. And here's what happens when you really master your focus. You start to see patterns. You start to notice that successful people, happy people, fulfilled people, they're not focused on their problems. They acknowledge problems, sure, but they're obsessed with solutions. They're not dwelling on what went wrong. They're focused on what they can do right now to move forward. That focus creates a completely different emotional experience, which creates completely different actions, which creates completely different actions, which creates completely different results. Now, let me tell you about something that is even more powerful than your goals. Your standards. Because here's what I've discovered working with millions of people across every level of success. You don't get what you wish for. You don't even get what you goal set for. You get what you tolerate. You get what you are willing to accept. You get what your standards are. Your standards are what you absolutely require of yourself. Not what you hope for. Not what you prefer. What you demand. Your life is shaped by the questions you ask yourself. Not sometimes, all the time. Every moment of every day, you're asking questions. And those questions are determining your focus, your feelings, and ultimately your destiny. Most people don't realize they're even doing this. They're running automatic questions in the background of their minds. And those questions are either empowering them or destroying them. Think about what happens when something goes wrong in your life. What is the first question that pops into your head for most people? It is something like, why does this always happen to me? Or why am I so stupid? Or why can't I ever get this right? Now, here's the problem with those questions. Your brain is like a computer. You ask it a question, it will find an answer. It doesn't care if the answer is true or helpful. It just wants to answer the question. So when you ask, why does this always happen to me? Your brain starts searching for reasons why you are a victim, why life is unfair, why nothing ever works out. And guess what? It finds them. It creates a whole story to support that question. And now you feel terrible. You feel helpless. You feel stuck. Not because of what happened, but because of the question you asked about what happened. But here is where it gets powerful. You can change the question instead of, why does this always happen to me? You can ask, what can I learn from this? Or how can I use this? Or what is great about this that I don't see yet? Now your brain goes searching for completely different answers. It looks for lessons, for opportunities, for hidden benefits. Same situation, different question, totally different emotional experience and result. The most successful people I've ever worked with, billionaires, world-class athletes, people who've built extraordinary lives, they all have one thing in common. They ask better questions. When they face a problem, they're immediately asking, how do I solve this? What is the opportunity here? Who can help me? What do I need to learn? They're not wasting energy on why me. They're focused on what now. And here's what you need to understand. You can train yourself to ask better questions. It is a habit right now. You might have a habit of asking disempowering questions, but you can interrupt that pattern and install new questions. Questions like, what am I grateful for right now? Or what is working in my life? Or how can I add value today? These questions change everything because they change your focus, and your focus determines your reality. Now let me tell you something that might be hard to hear, but it is the truth. You are not lost. You know exactly what you need to do. You know what would make your life better. You know the relationship you need to end, or the conversation you need to have, or the risk you need to take. You are not confused. You are scared. You are scared of failing. You are scared of what people will think. You are scared of going after what you really want and not getting it. You are scared of being rejected, of being judged, of looking foolish, of not being enough. So you tell yourself you are lost. You tell yourself you need more time to figure it out. You tell yourself you are not ready. But that is not the truth. The truth is you are avoiding the fear. And I get it. Fear is real. It is powerful. It can paralyze you. But here is what you need to know about fear. It is not your enemy. Fear is a signal that you are about to grow. Fear means you are at the edge of your comfort zone. And that is exactly where you need to be to create a breakthrough. Let me tell you something that is going to shift everything for you right now. You might be thinking you don't have what it takes. You are looking around at other people who seem more talented, more connected, more educated, more experienced. You are telling yourself you need more resources, more money, more time, more contacts, more knowledge. But that is not what is holding you back. What is holding you back is that you haven't tapped into the most powerful resource you already possess, your resourcefulness. See, it is never about the resources. It is always about resourcefulness. I've seen people with every advantage in the world, money, education, connections, accomplish nothing. And I've seen people who started with absolutely nothing create extraordinary lives. The difference wasn't what they had. The difference was who they became. The difference was their creativity, their determination, their ability to find a way when everyone else found an excuse. You already have everything inside you right now to create massive change in your life. You have intelligence. You have creativity. You have the ability to learn. You have the capacity to connect with other people. You have emotions that can drive you or destroy you depending on how you use them. You have a body that, when you use it right, gives you unlimited energy. You have experiences, even painful ones, that have shaped you and given you wisdom. All of that is already there. The question is, are you using it? Most people wait for perfect conditions. They wait for more money before they start. They wait for more time before they commit. They wait for someone to give them permission, to validate their idea, to make it safe. But perfect conditions never come. There is never enough money. There is never enough time. There is always a reason to wait. And while you are waiting, life is passing you by. The people who achieve extraordinary things don't wait. They start with what they have. They use what is available to them right now. They ask different questions. Instead of what do I need that I don't have, they ask how can I use what I already have in a more powerful way? Instead of why can't I do this, they ask how can I do this? Who has already done something like this? What can I learn from them? And here is what happens when you shift from needing resources to being resourceful. You find solutions everywhere. You start to see that every problem has an answer. If you are creative enough, persistent enough, committed enough to find it, you realize that the only real limitations are the ones you accept. Everything else is just a challenge to overcome, a puzzle to solve, a game to win. Think about the greatest achievements in human history. Did the Wright brothers have the resources of a major corporation? Number, they had a bicycle shop. Did Steve Jobs have all the technology he needed when he started Apple? Number, he built it in a garage. Did Oprah have connections and wealth when she started? Number, she had abuse, poverty, and every reason to fail. But what all these people had was something more powerful than resources. They had an unshakable belief that they would find a way. They had resourcefulness. And you have that same capacity. You might not believe it yet, but it is there. Every time in your life when you've overcome something difficult, every time you've achieved something you thought was impossible, every time you've found a way when there seemed to be no way, that was your resourcefulness. That was you tapping into something deeper than external circumstances. That was the real you showing up. Now here's what I need you to do. Stop waiting, stop preparing. Stop planning for someday, take massive action right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready now. Because here's the truth that most people never learn. You will never feel ready. You will never feel perfectly prepared. You will never have complete certainty. That feeling you are waiting for, it doesn't come before you start. It comes after you've already committed and started moving forward. Massive action is the cure for everything. It is the cure for fear, for doubt, for confusion, for feeling lost. When you take massive action, you create momentum. And momentum is the most powerful force in creating change. One small action leads to another, one result. Even a small one builds your confidence for the next one. One step forward gives you information about what to do next. But none of that happens while you are sitting still, while you are thinking about it, while you are waiting for the perfect moment. I want you to identify right now, not later. Right now, the one thing that if you changed it, would change everything else in your life. Maybe it is your health. Maybe it is a relationship that is draining you. Maybe it is finally pursuing that dream you've been putting off for years. Maybe it is confronting a fear that has been holding you back. Whatever it is, you know for a while, you've just been avoiding it, and want you to commit to it fully. Not halfway, not I'll try, not I'll give it a shot and see what happens. Full commitment, all in, burn the boats, cut off the possibility of retreat. Make it so that failure is not an option. So the only way forward is to find a way to make it work. Because here is what happens when you truly commit. When you make that kind of all-in decision, the entire universe shifts to support you. I know that sounds mystical or whatever, but it is true. Resources appear that weren't there before. People show up in your life who can help you. Opportunities open that you never notice. Information comes to you at exactly the right time. Why? Because when you are committed, you are paying attention differently. You are focused differently. You are showing up differently, and the world responds to that energy. But none of this happens from the sidelines. None of this happens while you are dabbling, while you are keeping one foot out the door, while you are holding back. It happens when you decide, this is it. This is my time. This is what I am doing. And I am going all in until I make it happen. Think about what you could accomplish in the time that is left in this year if you went all in on one thing, not spreading yourself thin across 10 different goals. Not half committing to a bunch of things. So here we are right now, this moment, you and me, and I want you to really feel this. Not just hear it, but feel it in your body, in your soul, in every fiber of your being. You are at a crossroads. You've been at crossroads before, and maybe you've turned back. Maybe you've chosen the familiar path, the safe path, the path that didn't require you to risk anything. But this time can be different. This time, you get to choose differently. Because here's what I know about you, even though we may have never met. I know that deep inside you, there's a part of you that knows you are capable of so much more. There is a voice, maybe it is quiet, maybe you've been ignoring it for years, but it is there. And that voice is telling you that you are meant for something greater than what you are currently experiencing. That voice is telling you that this feeling of being lost is actually a gift. It is life's way of telling you that you've outgrown where you are. You are ready for the next level. But you have to make a choice. You have to decide right now whether you are going to listen to that voice or whether you are going to let fear win one more time. Whether you are going to let another year go by where you are just surviving instead of thriving, where you are just getting through the days instead of creating a life that makes you jump out of bed with excitement and passion and purpose. See, most people, they live their whole lives in what I call someday syndrome. Someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll get in shape. Someday I'll pursue my dreams. Someday I'll tell the people I love how much they mean to me. Someday I'll take that trip. Someday I'll write that book. Someday I'll make a difference. But someday is not a day of the week. Someday is a disease that will take your dreams to the grave with you, and I don't want that for you. I refuse to accept that for you because you have something unique to offer this world. You have gifts that only you can give. You have experiences that have shaped you in ways that can help other people. You have a perspective that matters. You have a voice that deserves to be heard. But none of that happens if you stay stuck where you are. None of that happens if you keep telling yourself the same limiting stories. None of that happens if you don't take action. So let me ask you some questions, and I want you to really sit with these. What would your life look like if you stopped playing small? What would be possible if you stepped into your full power? What would you create if you knew you couldn't fail? What would you do differently if you loved yourself the way you deserve to be loved? What would you pursue if you stopped caring what other people thought? What kind of impact could you make if you gave yourself permission to go all in? Now I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine it is December of this year, and you are looking back. You made a decision today, you committed, you took massive action. You stopped waiting and started creating. What has changed? How do you feel? What have you accomplished? Who have you become? What are the people in your life saying about the transformation they've witnessed? How does it feel to know that you kept your promise to yourself? How does it feel to know that you didn't let another year slip by without making your move? And now imagine the opposite. Imagine it is December and you are looking back and nothing has changed. You had the same opportunity that everyone else had. You heard the same message. You felt the same stirring in your soul, but you didn't act. You waited. You made excuses. You told yourself you'd start next year. How does that feel? Can you live with that? Can you live with knowing that you had a chance and you didn't take it? Because that is the choice you are making right now. And please understand me. I am not trying to make you feel bad. I am trying to wake you up. I am trying to reach that part of you that is hungry for more. That part of you that is tired of settling. That part of you that is ready to break through and become who you were meant to be. You were not designed to just exist. You were not created to simply pay bills and watch television and wait for the weekend. You were put on this earth to contribute something meaningful, to love fully, to grow continuously, to create something that outlives you, to make a difference in the lives of others, to leave this world better than you found it. That is what is calling you. That is why you feel lost, because you are capable of so much more than what you are currently doing. And yes, it is going to be uncomfortable. Yes, you are going to face obstacles.
Yes.
There will be moments when you want to quit. Yes, people might not understand. Yes, you might fail along the way. But you know what is more painful than any of that regret? Living your whole life wondering what could have been. Looking back at all the chances you didn't take, all the dreams you didn't pursue, all the potential you never tapped into. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you ready? Are you ready to stop living in fear and start living in faith? Are you ready to stop focusing on what is wrong and start creating what is right? Are you ready to raise your standards and demand more from yourself? Are you ready to take massive action and commit fully to becoming the person you were meant to be? Because the time is now, not someday, not when things are perfect, not when you have more money or more time or more confidence. Now, today, this moment, this is your time, this is your shot. This is your chance to draw a line in the sand and say, everything changes from this point forward. I am done settling. I am done waiting. I am done playing small. From this moment on, I am all in on my life. You have everything you need inside you right now. You have the strength, you have the courage, you have the resourcefulness, you have the power. Now you just need to use it. You need to unleash it. You need to stop holding back and start showing the world who you really are. And when you do, when you make that commitment, when you take that action, when you step into your power, everything changes, your energy changes, your presence changes, your results change, your entire life transforms, not because your circumstances change, but because you change. And when you change, everything around you changes. So go right now, take the first step, make the call, have the conversation, start the project, face the fear, whatever it is that you know you need to do. Do it now, do it scared, do it uncertain, do it imperfectly. Just do it because your life is waiting for you to claim it. Your potential is waiting for you to unlock it. Your destiny is waiting for you to step into it. And the world is waiting for the gifts that only you can give. This is your moment. Don't let it pass you by.